Well, gun laws are obviously national in terms of the response from the Howard government. I think back to that response from John Howard early in his first term. It was defining. It was a defining moment for him. Tim Fischer, who took a lot of bravery as well in stepping up and taking on a constituency that was quite opposed to what they did, but it changed the nation for the good. Michael.
Look, it did, KG. It was a very difficult decision for John Howard. I think we all remember that, profoundly disturbing event where he had to put on a flak jacket because he was advised that it could be dangerous for him to speak at a rally with gun owners, and he, spoke with the flak jacket on. It was a difficult decision because most gun owners are rural people, and who are completely law-abiding. So within the coalition and within the National Party, it was a very difficult time, but in the end, it did change the nation. I remember him saying recently, though, by the way, when he gave a speech in Texas one year, and when he mentioned the achievements of the Howard government, including gun control, it didn't go down well in Texas, but in Australia, mate, he did the right thing, and we're a better nation for John Howard's courage.
Yeah, we are indeed a better nation, a safer nation. Thank goodness for that. I want to ask you about your thoughts on the events of the weekend, the protests, the debate around whether or not the protests should have gone ahead on the iconic Sydney Harbour Bridge, Michael.
Look, it shouldn't have gone ahead. Chris Minns, the Labor Premier, was right. The police were right. There's no reason why that demonstration couldn't have taken place in another area of Sydney. I mean, the right to demonstrate is not the right to inconvenience everybody else. It's not completely unfettered. There are plenty of places you can have demonstrations, but you get more publicity if you do what they did, which is take over the bridge, disrupt Sydney. And of course, at that demonstration, KG, there were a huge number of very genuine people who were concerned about the visuals they were seeing of starvation in Gaza. That's why the numbers were so big. Obviously, people in Australia are worried about that type of thing, and they attended the rally. The problem with the rally is all of these Palestinian rallies, is there is an undercurrent of anti-Semitism and Jewish hatred and intimidation of the Jewish community. So if you look at that rally in Sydney, we had Nazi symbols, we had Hamas symbols, we had photographs of Ayatollah Khomeini, we had chants of death to the IDF, we had chants of from the river to the sea. We had no Australian flags. If it was a march for humanity, why weren't there Australian flags, American flags, British flags, Israeli flags, or none of them? None of them. And we had no criticism of Hamas, no signs slagging off Hamas or calling for their surrender, no signs calling for the hostages to be released. And this is why these rallies are full of anti-Semites, I'm sorry to say, and Jewish-hating people who use the cover of what was happening in Gaza as an outpouring of their own anti-Semitic Jewish hatred views. And unfortunately, mixed up in that are genuine Australians who get used in these demonstrations, mate.
Michael, before you go, it's a couple of weeks. In fact, it's 2 weeks to the day that the government's going to have that economic roundtable, a 3-day-long discussion in Canberra. What's your view on this? Can it be useful in terms of providing a game plan on reform?
Well, it could be if the government had a strong, deregulatory agenda, but it doesn't. I mean, it can't cut taxes. It can't cut its spending. It's going to have to increase taxes because it can't deregulate. One of the bigger problems, though, is we've got a very weak business leadership in this country. It's not like it was 30 years ago when you had serious, powerful employer leaders who spoke for the business community. We have largely weak business leaders, weak woke corporations who don't fight for their constituents. We have fly-in, fly-out chief executives, too many from overseas, too many boards who are not prepared to stand up for their shareholders, and they cave into all of these social issues and get distracted. So You've got a Labor government with control of the reps, with the Greens control of the Senate, and they're in a very strong position to push their agenda. I suspect it's going to be a bit like the Job Summit. The business community will get done over, and that's because the business community, mate, they're just not strong enough. They just don't, fight hard enough. They did in the old days with the National Farmers Federation and Ian McLaughlin and people like that. But these days, they're too insipid, unfortunately. So I think it'll be a win for the government, and whatever agenda they pursue, they're going to get their way.
Michael Kroger, great to chat as always. Thanks. See you next week.
Thanks, mate.